It's been years in the making, and now arguably English football's largest and most controversial case has a start date. Yes, the Premier League's long-awaited hearing into Manchester City's 115 alleged charges will begin on Monday. Sam Wallace and Jonathan Liu joined us on Back Pages last night, and agreed it is paramount a resolution is found.
It's the single biggest issue currently in English football. Certainly, it's what preoccupies the Premier League and Manchester City, its serial champions. It's the biggest legal case, I suppose you'd say, outside of those that have been fought in the courts around football, but certainly in terms of football's regulatory authorities. Most of the governance of football falls upon the FA, but this one is in the Premier League's court. It is hard to understate just how important this is, and the implications are huge either way.
There are so many, thorny, potential conflicts of interest to be sidestepped, and it's essentially had to assemble an apparatus to fight this case almost from scratch, because it is, historically been quite a small, streamlined body without the without means necessarily to fight a litigation of this scale, and it is unbelievably complex in scale. So I think when we look back at this, we're going to wonder how it got to a point where the Premier League has basically had to fight a case of this magnitude in a competition which it is also running and promoting and marketing, and how safeguards and institutional measures can be put in place that we don't get into a situation like this again.
Situ at the screen, different subject, more serious subject really. Complex case, lots of potential ramifications. This will help break it down for us. So what are Manchester City charged with?
Yeah, this has been going on for a number of months and years, and like you rightly say, is a very complex situation, hence why it's taken this period of time just to get to the start of the hearing, which we know begins on Monday and could go on for some time. Now, the reason why we're at this place is because Manchester City have been charged 115 alleged charges by the Premier League for failing to meet their PSR financial requirements, and they've broken the rules allegedly. They have been said to fail to provide accurate information over a 9-year spell, which goes from 2009 to 2018, in which they won 3 Premier League titles. They've also been charged as well by subverting UEFA FFP rules, which is the Premier League's version of PSR. FFP is the same thing, but that's what UEFA call it. There are 115 charges in total. Allegedly, they've not fully disclosed financial remunerations to a former manager. They've not cooperated on a number of issues and charges. And when the Premier League have gone to Manchester City and said, we need this information, they failed to deliver it. The 115 charges are not 115 separate charges. There will be some of those charges that are the same charge. For example, failing to provide information once, twice, 3 times, and so on, is the same charge, but there could be multiple versions of the same charge. So that's, in a nutshell, what they've been charged with.
OK, so bullet point 2. What could happen to the club?
There are various things that obviously could happen. They could be found not guilty. They could walk away without any charges, any punishments whatsoever. However, that looks very unlikely at this stage with the number of charges and the length of time it's taken to get to this point. There could be points deductions, there could be fines, there could even be expulsion from the Premier League. However, I would suggest that is a very unlikely thing at this stage. That would be the most extreme punishment that they could face. And the other thing to point out is that this potentially could go on for 6, 7, 8 months. This is something that will start on Monday, but may go on for some time.
OK. The key thing is time frame, I guess. It's a lot of charges, isn't it? To get through, a lot of work is going to be needed to be done. When will a decision be made?
Now, the initial hearing is expected to take up to 2 months. So that takes us into November. After then, Manchester City could say, we don't agree with this, we don't agree with your findings, and we don't agree with what you've said in the last 2 months, so therefore we are going to appeal. Therefore, it could even go into February, March or April next year, depending on that appeal process, if Manchester City do decide to appeal. So it's very likely it will be towards the back end of this season before we find out exactly what the outcome is of Monday's hearing.
Pep Guardiola looking forward to decision in Man City hearing over alleged rule-breaking. Pep Guardiola said on Friday that he is happy the hearing into Manchester City's alleged breaches of the Premier League's financial rules is finally taking place and is looking forward to the independent commission's decision. The hearing to examine 115 Premier League charges against Manchester City will begin on Monday and is expected to last for around 10 weeks with a verdict likely in early 2025. City were referred to an independent commission by the league in February last year over alleged breaches of top-flight financial rules. They are also accused of failing to cooperate with the league's investigation into those alleged rule breaches. City have vehemently denied any wrongdoing, saying their case is supported by a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence. Start soon, and hopefully finish soon, Guardiola said of the hearing in his press conference ahead of Saturday's game against Brentford at the Etihad Stadium. An independent panel will decide, and I am looking forward to the decision. I'm happy it's starting on Monday. I know there will be more rumors, new specialists about the sentences. We're going to see. I know what people are looking forward to, what they expect. I know what I read for many, many years. Everybody is innocent until guilt is proven. So we'll see. Sports trial of the century to begin Premier League v Man City on 115 charges finally. After years of build-up, perhaps English football's biggest and most controversial contest is set to begin on one side, the Premier League. On the other, its defending champions and dominant force Manchester City. City face 115 charges for allegedly breaking the financial rules of the competition they have won for a record-breaking 4 consecutive seasons. Those charges will be heard at an independent hearing, which is set to start on Monday at an unknown location, subject to any late legal delays. Billed as sports trial of the century, it is expected to run for 10 weeks, with a verdict expected in early 2025.